batil, fighting against haq, and it's just a bunch of people. It's not. If you're fighting against Rahmatil lil Alameen, the mercy to the worlds, then to know that on the other side is the curse of the Rahmat, the curse of all the Alameens. You understand? That is there. That the Prophet ﷺ had to make a mujizat. He had to make a miracle. And you don't see that happening very, very often in the battles, unless it's in a very tight situation. Otherwise, he could have prevented so many other wars, yes? He could have prevented what? The war of what? Uhud. But the Prophet ﷺ, being the master of seen and unseen, and understanding what each battle, each incident, understanding the wisdom of that, and understanding what his role in that. When it's necessary, he will go inside. When it's necessary, he will pull out. When it's necessary, he will be active. When it's necessary, he will be passive. But understand what it is there that is not only for his Sahabis, but for the rest of mankind, not only believers, but the rest of mankind until Judgment Day. He knows what's going to happen, and those things he let to happen so that we learn. If every battle is just going to be a miracle, then every battle Muslims are going to hope for a miracle, and most likely will fail every battle. So what was happening there in that valley? It was morning twilight, we said, no?
Yeah,
it's still dark.
Yeah, it's dark.
And valley is low. When you talk about twilight in the valley, it's even darker down in the valley. And they were caught by surprise, and we're talking about 20,000 people. And it's a narrow pass, you understand? How many battles we know, doesn't matter what kind of technology or how many men you have, but if the terrain, it is not helping you, then they can wipe out tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, just like that. And there was great confusion. This is one thing that in battle you cannot be. When there's confusion, you're already lost. When there is confusion in a battle, you're already lost. There cannot be confusion. There has to be a leader that is in front of you. And you have to connect yourself to that leader, and you have to see how this leader is. Even in the battle that we have with our ego, the same thing. You cannot be confused. You know the enemy is strong, you know the enemy is this, you know what you're going through, but you cannot be confused. You know. And really, people in Tariqat, they're not confused. You cannot be. If you're with Shaykh Efendi for so long, you know what is right and you know what is wrong. You cannot say, I don't know what is right and wrong, and I don't know how to behave. Everybody knows. But if people are in ghaflat, then it will catch us when we least expect it. This is one thing that can cause confusion. So before you are caught in that situation where you're caught off guard, you must practice. As what we said yesterday, Shaykh Maulana is saying, they give instructions and we must practice. They don't practice it for us. Even if we're going to ask them 100 questions about the practice, they will still instruct, but it is we who have to go through that. You're a wrestling instructor. You instruct them how to wrestle. If they don't wrestle, the instructions doesn't make any sense. Even if you are giving them hours and hours and hours and hours of just training through the words. And you may tell them, move here and move there, be in this position, don't be. But if they don't want to be following your words, that doesn't make sense too. It's not going to work. So everything is now back to the person, whether we're going to do it or we're not going to do it. Like they have a saying in English, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it to drink. So this is when the will has to be strong, and the trust has to be strong. Then that time, with that will, even if your will is a little bit weak, but because your trust in your Shaykh, in Allah, in His Prophet is strong, then they will send you that support. However you want to call it, spiritual support, mental support, psychological support. Everything is coming from the Spirit anyway. You will see, I cannot do this, but I take one step and it's as if I'm there. How? How are you able to do that? We know so many times they say, we cannot do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Let me just take one step. And suddenly you find yourself there. You know who has that power? Burak. The Burak has that power. Whatever it sees, it takes one step and it is there. And what is our ego? When you're able to ride your ego, he has that power of the Burak. And so, there is the practice. How are you going to practice that? When you don't look at everyday instances, everyday experiences as something that is important. When you don't take what is happening with you and your family and the Jamaat and as something that is an opportunity for you to put the Sohbet into practice. Once you don't see the connection, you can be here for 50 years listening to Sohbet, but you cannot connect it to your daily lives, you cannot practice it, you will get nothing from the Sohbets. But when you hear a Sohbet about patience, and right next minute, some person, some idiot, just crash into your car because he cannot park properly. That one is wrong. You are right. You just heard a Sohbet about patience. You cannot be, how this person, you cannot just let go because you are right to be angry. We're not saying for you to go hug the person, but you must know now this is a test. Now, this is a test, and now how am I supposed to behave? In this way, because we are all at the beginning, we are not anywhere else. We are just in the beginning. And in the beginning, what they want for us is just to see where our intention is, not even our actions so much. The actions that we can make is only one step, half a step, if that. But they want to see how strong is your intention, how strong is your will, how strong is your attitude, how strong is your thinking, how strong is your tie, how pure is it. Then when they say this one is, the tie is very strong, making mistakes, easily you may find forgiveness. Easily something will open up for you to understand why you make that. You understand the wisdom that comes with it. And you will feel at that time the mercy that is coming to you because you know there's nothing, we're not touched. We do wrong things and we're not touched. Now you feel the mercy. That is the opposite, and you are humbled by it. And that is the opposite of being arrogant when you're doing wrong things. Arrogance. If you do right things and you are arrogant, you will get the punishment of Allah. You do right things and you are arrogant, you get the punishment of Allah. You do wrong things and you're arrogant, you're making a hell for yourself. And arrogance and stubbornness, they are best buddies. You cannot be arrogant and not be stubborn. No, they're best buddies. Yes? The others, the anger, a little bit to the side. They're not best, they're friends. Envy, a little bit to the side. But it is a characteristic of someone who is stubborn, that he is arrogant. And it is a characteristic of someone when he is arrogant, that he is stubborn. It's the same. You have to, each is supporting the other. So now, we need to see what breaks the arrogance. What is it that's going to break that arrogance from us? Everyone needs to see, how am I arrogant? Arrogant just doesn't mean you're sitting like this, or you're standing like this, or you, no. Some of the most arrogant people I've seen are the ones with the smiley faces. And they are saying good things, nice things, praising. But you know, there's something there that you know this one is, the stubbornness, nothing can reach to that one. I know some people who are very rough and gruff and they do wrong things, but the minute you tell them this is wrong, they say, I understand. They don't sit with it, they don't play with it. They let the, immediately they know, they are humble like that. Immediately they know, and they say, I'm sorry. What are we going to say? Everything comes back to that. Huh? What is that? What? Just say sorry. You know that story? Just say sorry. One day I'm going to tell you the story. Just say sorry. Well, if you have that arrogance, you become really stubborn with it, then in order to support that, you would need to be angry. Then you use that. You need to be very angry at people, because now the anger gives you that fire. Because you don't have that fire, that fuel from faith, now you have to have another sense of fire to give you purpose, to give you that passion. It is not coming from love, now it has to come from hate. It will lead to that. Even if you're okay now, it leads to, don't you, we see that happening all the time, in front of our eyes. First is the hurt. How can you do this to me? I did so much for you. Yes? And then they say, oh, nobody loves me. I love everyone, but nobody loves me. And then slowly it becomes what? What does it become? Everyone betrays me. I'm the only one who's good. And then later you're saying, everyone is very bad. I'm the only one who's good. And then in order for that construct, that structure, that logic, for it to work, then you have to say, to put the gas in for that to work, then you have to have anger now. So from the sorry, feeling very sorry for yourself, it will turn to everyone deserves to die. Everyone deserves to be punished. Everyone deserves my anger. Then that time you'll see Shaitan already sitting, and Shaitan will say, now start cursing. Start cursing, it's okay. Remember, they are bad and you are good. So start cursing them. So don't be in ghaflat. You understand? Because one will lead to another if it is not nipped in the bud. One will grow and another one will graft to it and starts growing and growing and growing. That time, what you have is this monster that is going to be very difficult to cut everything now. You have to take this monster out from the roots. Now it becomes very difficult. It's a huge tree now it has become. Right from the beginning, it may be easier. But all this is coming. For you to understand this, not only you have to know yourself, to become more self-aware. We have our Shaykh in front of us to hold up the mirror to us, to make us to become self-aware. You say, I don't know how I look. Our Shaykh is holding up the mirror to us every single day. He says, look at this. This is wrong what you're doing. This is right what you're doing. This one, look at this, look at this. So don't be upset with the mirror now. Don't be upset with the mirror. If you don't like, people don't like the mirror, maybe they change the mirror. But I've never seen anyone, they get upset with the mirror And then they break the mirror, or they start cursing at the mirror because they know the mirror doesn't lie. We must know ourselves more. We must become more self-aware. We must know it is not how we feel, happy or sad, or that is important in this way. It is how much knowledge we gain about ourselves. That time you can be happy and you're happy. That time you are sad but you're happy. That time you're depressed but you're happy. That time anything that you're going through, you're happy because you have more knowledge about yourself. You understand? If you don't have that knowledge of yourself, but Shaitan has that knowledge of you, he has your secret. And then he will enter through that open gate that you think is not that important. You don't even put one guard there. So, don't get confused. And if you are in that valley of confusion, don't run away. That's the time that you have to look to see where your guide is. Everything is confusing. Look to see. That's the time when you have to look and to hold on more tightly. Don't run away. Where are you going to run to? The valley is small. It's surrounded by enemies. And you're running away from whom? You're not running away from the enemies. You're running away from your prophet. You're running away from your guide. You run away from your guide. The guide still calls you back. The Prophet ﷺ, did he curse at them? No. Was he angry? No. He says, come. Remember who I am. Remember your promise. Because things may happen. And that is a very big reminder for us that the Sahaba Kiram, they're humans. And that gives us also the ease to know that, oh, they did this, then I don't feel so bad, because it's also part of human nature. The most important thing is not whether you do something bad or you don't do something bad. The most important thing is how you return. What's another word for it? Redemption. How you return. And how you become better from doing things that are not so great. Do you become better? Do you become stronger? If you are, then your mistakes helps you to become strong. Your mistakes help you to become strong. And those who don't want to make any mistakes, and they're running away from any conflict and this and that, they are not prepared. Then that time when it is necessary for them to fight, they cannot, because they didn't do anything. They didn't practice, and they will fail, just like that. This is the greatest jihad, this, against our nafs. This is the biggest struggle. You don't want to struggle, then very easy. With one swipe, Shaitan and our ego will knock us down. May we hold on tightly to our Shaykh and hear his voice, no one else's, when we are in confusion. Because when you are in confusion, you will hear nothing but noise. There is nothing clear there. There's no focus there. There's only noise, and there's more confusion with that. But hold on to the words of your Shaykh. Then that time, you will find safety. You'll be able to defeat the evil that is around you. And he will lead you out from that valley. May Allah make our hand hold firm in this way, inshallah rahman. But if you are alone, Even in Jamaat, you are alone. And you don't have that connection and that firm handhold with your Shaykh, you will not hear his voice. In that confusion, you will not hear his voice. So practice being in Jamaat, don't practice being alone. This is what West is teaching us. Alienation, to be alone, individualistic to an extreme. No. The one who is alone is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is also Jami, the one who gathers. Inshallah. We'll take this. If you like it, put it in your life. If you don't like it, leave it. I'll take it. These words first to myself and then to those who are listening. Assalamu alaikum.